So you want to make passive income with eBay to Amazon. We're going to dive really deep into this. And first, we're going to look at all the components of the business, including finding products to source profitably, prepping those items, and all the back-end things of this business. Number two, we're going to look at the overhead of what your costs are going to be in order to do this business. Then we're going to talk about how much product you're going to need to source in order to hit your profit goals. And then we're also going to talk about mindset in this business. So the first component of this business, and probably the most important part, is finding profitable products consistently. There's actually a lot of different ways to find products from eBay to Amazon, and in this description down below, I go into more detail on how to actually do that, but basically you're gonna have to choose one of these different ways in order to find products consistently. Then the whole goal is for you to learn how to do this, at least to a capacity that you could teach a virtual assistant, someone to work for you and do this for you. So if you do take some time up front to actually learn how to do the sourcing, your VA is going to end up doing a better job because they're going to know exactly what to do over and over for you so that you can make profit in your business. The next component of running a passive eBay to Amazon store is the prep of your items. There's really two different routes that you can take with this. You can either utilize a prep center or you can use an employee in person to prep your items. And so there's pros and cons to this. The pro of a prep center is that it's a lot more hands-off, but then you also have less control of your items. If Q4 is here and they decide that they have too much work, it could take several weeks for them to ship your items, and then your cash flow is just not going to be as good. But then with an employee, you're going to have to train them, you're going to have to teach them how to list, and you're going to have to manage them. But all the inventory is going to be in-house, and you're going to have a lot more control over your inventory. So there's pros and cons to this, and you just have to decide what to do with this part of your business. If you are wanting to do a prep center, I would just go on Google and search prep center for Amazon FBA. You could do one in a sales tax-free state if you want to, but basically you need to just weigh the pros and cons of what you're looking for in a prep center and take some time and think about that. Maybe get on the phone with some of these owners and figure out what they're all about, and then make a choice and experiment. So the costs for both of these are going to be variable depending on how many items you send in, but it should be baked into the profit that you are sending into Amazon, and so you will deal with it like that. And then the third and final part of this business model is the back-end management of your store. There's going to be things like repricing items, bookkeeping, managing your costs, managing what direction to take your business when Amazon changes so that you can pivot. All of these things are going to be in the back-end management part of the business. Repricing items can be part of what your sourcing VA does for their work as well. But basically, there's a few things that you'll need to do in order to maintain your business, maintain the direction of your business, maintain the bookkeeping of your business. And so there's different services that you can use for this, but for now, we're mostly going to focus on the item prep and sourcing part of the business. So now we're going to talk about an example of the basic overhead that you're going to have in your passive eBay to Amazon business. So the whole point of this is to be passive and not do the work yourself. And so you're going to have to pay a sourcing virtual assistant to do the sourcing and the repricing for you. So hiring someone full-time to do Amazon FBA sourcing for you is probably going to be somewhere in the ballpark of $350 to $450 a month. And so we're just going to say $400 a month. And there's other softwares and stuff besides the ones I'm going to mention that you could get to make things faster and easier for you and your team, but I'm going to list out what I would say are the bare minimums. I would strongly recommend using 𝗖cie. 𝗖cie is just going to help you and your team make informed buying decisions because, as you'll see later in this video, inventory costs are going to be the very highest cost in your business, and so you don't want to be making purchases that are bad purchases. And so 𝗖cie is going to be $18 a month. And then you're also going to be selling a lot of items, and so you're going to want the professional Amazon FBA plan. Basically, if you don't get this plan, you're not going to have as many sales because you won't be getting the buy box very much. And also you're going to be paying an extra $1 per sale that you get. And so you really just need the $40 a month plan. And then for bookkeeping and listing, especially if you're using a prep center, you're probably going to want Inventory Lab. Most prep centers want you to use Inventory Lab, although you could spend extra time looking for a prep center that doesn't use this, but that is going to be $69 a month. And then for listing and for bookkeeping, I would use Inventory Lab. You could get around using Inventory Lab if you use a prep center that doesn't have a use of Inventory Lab, but if you have an employee or work with most prep centers, Inventory Lab is what they use. Inventory Lab helps them list faster, and also it does bookkeeping for you. So this is gonna be something that I would say you should have in your business, and that's $69 a month. So in total, that's $527 per month for your overhead. And so now to the next part, how much product do I need to source in order to hit my profit goals? And so for all of these calculations, we're just gonna assume that our overhead stays the same, even though obviously as you scale more and there's more and more going on in your business, you're probably gonna want other tools and potentially hire more people to work for you in your business. But for now, we're just gonna keep it the same. So at a very basic level, to just break even, you're gonna have to source a certain amount of product to do so. That's why there's a lot of power in the bigger that you can be and the further ahead of your overhead that you can be, the more profit that you can bring in. But for now, we're gonna talk about how to just break even. So if you're sending 40% ROI, that's gonna be around $1,300 in spend. Because $1,317 in spend times 40%, is gonna be around your $530 of overhead cost. However, I want you to understand that there's inbound times, there's that 2 weeks that they hold your funds in order to pay you to make sure that there's not customer issues. And so I would just suggest doubling that number. And so I would say more like $2,600 of inventory cost at 40% ROI to cover your costs. All right, so with all that in mind, if you want to make $1,000 passive income doing eBay to Amazon, here's how you would do it. So first you would spend your $2,600 in order to cover the overhead. And then assuming a 40% ROI across the board, it would be around $5,000 of spend in order to do your $1,000 of profit per month doing eBay to Amazon passively. So in total, this would be around $7,600 of inventory spend in order to do this at $1,000 a month actual profit that you could take out of your business every single month. And so because of how much money this is, I would strongly suggest someone who is experienced, at least in some way, with Amazon to do this business model, because that is a lot of money to be throwing around if you don't know how to do the business model. And so easing up to this, even if you do some of the work yourself for a little while, is going to be really helpful. But that is the roadmap for how you could do it if you wanted to. But let's go on to the next level. If you want $3,000 in passive income from eBay to Amazon, here's what you would need to do. So again, the overhead costs would be around $2,600 of inventory spend in order to cover overhead. And then according to these calculations, you would need to do around $15,000 in inventory costs at a 40% ROI in order to do the $3,000 a month in passive income profit. So in total, that would be a bit over $17,000 in inventory cost in order to do $3,000 of passive profit per month. So now let's say you wanted to do $10,000 of passive income profit with eBay to Amazon. Again, there's the $2,600 of inventory spend in order to cover the overhead costs, which by now are probably higher, but just keeping everything the same, it would end up being around $50,000 of inventory spend at 40% ROI in order to make that $10,000 passive income from eBay to Amazon. So at this point, most people don't realistically have $50,000 sitting around in order to use in their business. So a lot of people would be using credit at this point. I would tread lightly with this. It's definitely something that you can do, but I would strongly suggest doing that only if you are experienced and understand the risks completely of using credit in your business. Or you can continue to reinvest in your business over and over again so that you have more money to use on inventory. But at this level, it really is more about using money in order to save yourself time and using money in order to make yourself money rather than using time to make yourself money. So on to the next level of passive income. We're gonna look to see what it takes to make $20,000 passive income from eBay to Amazon. So again, there would be the $2,600 of spend in order to cover your overhead costs, which again will most likely be much higher at this point because there's a lot going on. But if you're able to maintain your ROI, it would be around $100K of spend in order to do your $20K profit per month passively from eBay to Amazon. At this point, again, I think a lot of people will probably be using credit. Again, a word of caution, credit can be a riskier way to do things, but really can jumpstart you into having inventory to sell on Amazon FBA for a profit. So if you go down that route, I would advise extreme caution. Like for me, for example, I was not using credit at the beginning of last year, and then I started using credit around December. I scaled for a few months and made good profits for a few months, and then I decided to go back down to cash only. So using credit can actually be pretty anxiety provoking, and so you just have to experiment with you and your personality type to figure out if that's going to be right for you. Or you can just keep reinvesting back into your business in order to build the inventory stack that you have in order to make more money. So finally, I want to talk about mindset when it comes to this. I know we're all here for passive income, and if it's not passive income, at least increasing our hourly so that we have to spend less time on this business. But realistically, your success rate is going to be much, much higher if you're willing to take several months to maybe even a year or two in order to actually learn this business model through and through. That way you can actually teach the people and delegate something that you actually already know. So often I see people wanting passive income with eBay to Amazon, and they don't realize that they actually need to have some time up front in order to actually set all of this up. And I totally get it. There's a lot of information in this whole business model that can be really hard to wrap your head around sometimes and actually learn. So that's why I made a comprehensive resource in the description below that's absolutely free for you, that will help you kind of just understand the basics of what's going on with this business model. But anyways, the point of all this is to say that this business model can be passive if done right, but it takes a little bit of time to learn it up front. So hopefully you guys learned something and enjoyed this video. Hope you have a great rest of the day, and feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. We're putting out a lot more videos about eBay to Amazon, and that's what this channel is about, how to make money online doing Amazon. So I will have more videos out for you where you can learn more about this business model. Hope you have a good day and take care.